Oh, what happened to my video?
I can see you.
Okay. I can't see you. What
Oh,
happened to it? I'm gonna come in and out.
give everybody just a minute, another minute to get on.
Hey, Ree, can you see me still? There I am. I don't know why it's
Yeah,
asking me. I got it. I don't know why it was asking me to log in with my email.
you guys can hear me on the mic. Okay. All right. All right. Well, it is 1 o'clock. So I am just going to take a minute to introduce myself since we don't have Mara here today. So some of you, Tiffany knows me. She's in my market center, but Lori and Sherry and Emily, I am Kayri Imus. I am the team leader of Keller Williams Southern Oregon down here in Medford. I have been practicing real estate in some regard for the last 21 years. Actually, the last 35 years in the real estate industry. And there we go. I thought I had a note taker. Um, and 21 years as a licensed agent in Oregon. So lots of experience. I've been worked with top producing agents in the Eugene Springfield area and down here in Southern Oregon. Instrumental in developing subdivisions, and most recently as a consultant and a coach and team leader here at Keller Williams, coaching real estate agents in their businesses. So that is my superpower, is helping agents reach their top level of productivity. So that's what I find joy in, and what's taken me out of sales and into leadership is to help grow other agents in my wake. So today we're going to move on in our Transact series. You've been You've covered winning with the seller and buyer, and now we're going to move on to talk about how you work with your clients once you have signed a listing or buyer agreement. Basically, what happens between when you have a signed agreement and when you receive an offer. So, we're going to kind of cover that, and we're going to cover lots about communication with buyers, communication with sellers, communication with co op agents, and how that pertains to building a solid foundation for your business. So before we begin, does anybody want to share any wins from last week? It can be a big win or a little win.
I'm back in the office getting organized.
Yay!
Hey, Carrie, I just wanted to let you know I'm here, but I've got the flu, so I'm gonna just watch with my camera off today because I don't feel very good.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear
Laying
that.
in bed.
I will allow you to watch with your camera off, Mitch.
Thank you, Carrie. Good to see you
Today,
on here.
today only.
Okay.
Today. This is July. Just making some notes here on attendance for Mara, July 7th. All right. Big wins, little wins. Any wins? You showed up here today. That's okay. I'll take that. I'll take that as a win. That's where I want to be. I am a tech expert. All right. So you guys, we're going to go over a lot today, and I want you to use this time to really practice using your voice in conversations. We're going to talk a lot about communications with buyers and sellers, and that starts with having the confidence to use your voice. So this is a safe place to ask questions, share ideas, no judgment. We're all learning here. We're going to cover some stuff that you may already know. We're going to cover some stuff that you may have questions about. And I really want to have you, especially during the interactive parts, really participate in this. The people, Mandy, Mitch, Tiffany in my office all know, like, I expect high level participation. So this is a safe place. This is where we learn, right? This is our platform. So this is what, let's see. This is the first time I'm teaching this class, so woo, it'll be fun for all of us. We're going to go through quite a few things today. At the end of the session, you'll be able to identify the key information to build success with buyers and sellers. You'll be able to employ strategies to assist buyers and sellers with decision making and build strong success foundation relationships with your clients and co-op agents. So to start thinking about what you learned today, let's consider the questions you might have and what you would like to learn about today. Most of all, we're going to have fun, right? This is going to be a fun day today. Start thinking about what questions you might have for buyers and sellers and co-op agents from your role as an agent, either representing a buyer, representing a seller, talking with other agents. Think about your questions and what you'd like to learn more about. Jot down notes in your participants guide so that it sticks with you. We're going to practice a lot of interaction. And I'm going to ask each person to share some of their questions throughout the process. So go ahead and take a minute and write down some of your questions. That you want to get out of today working with buyers and sellers. Does anybody have a burning question that they're hoping to get out of today's class that's going to make today's class a total and complete success?
So I have a listing right now. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Have a listing right now.
Okay. I wasn't sure. And it's kind of like, what do you do once it's all listed and kind of that time where you're waiting for people to come look at it? Are there timelines like you give it a week or two? And we're in a very rural area, so I'm assuming things take a little bit longer, but do you have kind of like after 1 week check-in, 2 week check-in, anything like that?
Yeah, we are definitely going to cover that. So great question. Where are you? How rural are you?
Do you know where the Dalles is?
I do.
We're south of there by about 40 miles.
Okay. Beautiful area.
So,
Anyone else?
Carrie, Emily and I had met in the buyer's presentation last week, and she's super rural. Like she's having to go back and do CMAs from about 4 years back. So if anything, like we could help her with that, give her ideas to be able to help her with her CMAs, it would be great to give her some sort of information to help her with that rural area because it's different from where we're at right now.
Perfect. Well, you know, we cover a broad area here in Southern Oregon. We cover Lake County, which is very rural. Amanda, you know, you were over in the Klamath Falls area. So that our Klamath agents cover a lot of that. And I'm from a very rural area. I started my business in Humboldt County, Northern California, which is cut off from the world by the Highway 101. So absolutely, we will, maybe not on this call, but Emily, I can definitely get you resources and point it in the right direction for that. Anybody else?
Do you mind sharing your email real quick, just because I'm going to have to cut out early?
Sure. It's KWSO leader, LEADER at kw.com. I'm going to drop it in the chat too.
Thank you.
All right. So again, we're going to cover success with clients, success with buyers, success with sellers, success with co-op agents. We'll recap, we'll do ahas, and then I'll let you go to work on your daily success system. I read this when I was reviewing the material, and I thought this was so good to have at the beginning of this, especially where I've worked with top producing agents. This is absolutely spot on. Virtually every top producing agent we have ever worked with, and I could say because this has been my experience, has ever worked with, has a deep and almost inherent sense of service. They have a servant's heart and place their buyers or sellers' real estate experience above all else. They are always thinking of service. We've had a couple people jump on, so give me just 1 minute to update our attendance for Mara. Maybe. All right, thank you for allowing me to do that. All right. So again, this is like total facts here. Like this is true with every top producing agent that I've worked with. And this is something that top producing agents do inherently is it is absolutely about the client experience. What you do is you serve your clients at a high level. This is not about things you want. These are not your transactions. These are not your purchases. These are not your sales. These are the client's experience. So we're going to jump into success with clients. The point of the transaction we're going to focus on today is the time between getting a signed buyer or listing agreement and receiving or making an offer. However, as you're going to take aspects of lead generation into the transaction, you'll of course have aspects we discussed today through and past closing, and we're going to cover how that comes into play as well. Our first topic is success with clients. Let's cover the things you can do with both buyers and sellers to make this process smooth for them as possible. So, great agent communication. The key to success with clients is communication. We've covered this, you've covered this in many ways so far, including the assistance, the Command and the KW app provide in making sure you're communicating with value to your sphere of influence, your leads, and your clients. Great communication is the foundation for great relationships with your clients. Rule number one of working with buyers and sellers is you cannot over communicate. You cannot over communicate. Don't expect someone else to do it. Don't think your clients will automatically know. Different ways to update. The no update, right? Nothing changed since the last time I called you, but I'm calling you to let you know nothing changed. That's an important update. The next steps update. We have accomplished this. Our next steps are this. This is how you participate. This is how I participate. This is how any third parties participate. Setting an expectation is an update. We've accomplished this. Now I need you to go out and do this. We're going to do this. Now you're going to do this. Our agreements between ourselves and our clients. Reaffirming their why is an update. Why did they put their house on the market? Why are they buying a house? Why? Reaffirming that is an update. So great communication is the foundation for great relationships with your clients. Remember, they're trusting you with what is likely their biggest financial decision and what will serve as the foundation for their lives and the lives of their family. So we're going to look at your participation guide. We are on page 16.3. You'll need to make sure that your communication in these instances first provide a strong foundation for a sustainable relationship. Second, sets and manages expectations proactively throughout the transaction. Third, creates peace of mind for your clients. And fourth, enhances your credibility. It's important to recognize that you can rarely over communicate with your clients. You can't. You just simply cannot over communicate with your clients. This is a complicated process that they will only navigate a few times in their lives. You will navigate it over and over and over again. You will become very proficient in it. But this will be the first time that they've navigated the process of selling or purchasing a home. And as we mentioned, Command and your Keller Williams app are here to automate the process. In addition to the 4 underlying ideas, you need all your communication with clients to convey. Let's remind ourselves the 3 levels of service from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Remember, by keeping these levels in mind, you'll serve your clients to the highest level possible. First is purpose. Masters of service have a clear understanding of why they should be hired and can articulate it to anyone at any time. Great service begins with a clear purpose for why someone should work with you. The second is the value proposition. Best agents can translate their purpose and why people should hire them into a specific set of services they will provide. What services set you apart from someone else? And then the most important one is fiduciary. Highly productive agents provide a level of service based on their commitment to act as a fiduciary to their clients. They place their clients' interests above all others, even their own. A fiduciary brings a level of care and trust to the relationship that a functional agent does not. And we'll go over functional versus fiduciary. So let's dig a little deeper into that concept of fiduciary. As we discussed this way back on day 2 in the Real Estate Expert, when you operate as a fiduciary to your clients, you earn the right to be their expert of choice. And that's why they're hiring you. You're the expert. That's why they work with you and don't try to purchase or sell on their own, because you're the expert. Who remembers the difference between functionary and fiduciary? Anyone? It's okay. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to remember. I've been doing this many, many years.
I don't even remember hearing that.
Okay, and you should and you will over and over again the longer you have your license, right? This is something that your Association of Realtors, when you go to Association of Realtor classes, your local MLS classes, any buyer rep classes, we're all gonna talk about this again and again and again. A functionary has a specific task relationship with their clients. They do the job by dotting the I's and crossing the T's. A lot of transaction coordinators are functionary, right? A fiduciary is a high trusted relationship with clients, then always puts the best interests at their forefront, even before the agent's own. That's a fiduciary. When you go into a relationship with an attorney, the attorney has a fiduciary responsibility to you. When you go buy a car off of the car lot has a functionary responsibility to you, right? So can you see like the different, how that steps that up a little bit from being salesy to actually putting someone's interest ahead of your own? So look at your participants guide for the chart on MREA detailing the differences between functionary and fiduciary. This is going to be on page 16.4 at the bottom.
So we don't have the guide.
You don't have your Ignite book?
We've never, none of us have the book. Mara just usually emails what we need for that day.
And she didn't email it out to you?
I don't see it. I just checked our email, so.
I don't have the book either.
I don't
Or-
have it either.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, good golly. This is going to be challenging then. Let me pause for a moment. Just a moment in time here. Okay. We'll see if we can get Mara to get that to you. Let me see. Because I am a check genius here. I'm going to do a little. See if my computer will work with me. Because I'd like for you to see that. My computer is working so hard to get that open for you. Just 1 second. Thank you for your patience. Go. So let's see if. Can you see the workbook on my screen? I'll
Yes.
zoom in a minute. Here we go. We'll just jump into that. So here's, you zoom in and make that a little bigger. All right. So these are some examples of functionary versus fiduciary. A specific task or relationship, functionary, fiduciary is that high trust relationship. So it's a low relationship. Functionary has a low relationship. Again, think of like what a transaction coordinator would do versus what a agent would do, right? Transaction coordinator sending paperwork, getting signatures, passing paperwork along between co-op agents, lenders, and title and escrow people. The agent, your responsibility is going to be discussing what is on these documents. Why is it important that we're having these signatures? Why are we going through this process, right? It's going to be explaining things along the way. It's mastering a high skill level as opposed to just being a paper shuffler, which is a low skill level. A functionary response to needs. Can you send me that email? Can you send me that text? Can you set that appointment? Can you? A fiduciary anticipates the needs and has it done for you. I've already called. I'm setting this up for you. We're going to do this together. The next step is, right? Functionary processes data, right? Somebody who can go into the MLS and pull a CMAs, but a fiduciary can actually tell you what that CMA means, right? Why did those homes take 4 days longer to sell 3 blocks up the road than the homes, just around the corner from your listing? They can interpret the data. Functionaries are more of an employee. Fiduciaries are a partner, right? Somebody who's got a vested interest in the outcome, right? And not just the paycheck. Functionary does the task, right? But a fiduciary owns the result, right? You can delegate the work, but you can't delegate the responsibility. You own that result. The responsibility is on your shoulders as an agent. Functionaries stay out of decision making, right? It's your decision, 100% your decision, Mr. Buyer, if you want to offer that. I don't have it. What do you want to offer? Mr. Seller, what do you want to list your house for? Okay, we're writing that number down. A fiduciary is going to actually go into why or why not. Why should you participate that way? Why shouldn't you participate that way? So any other ideas or ahas around the difference between a functionary or a fiduciary? Any questions about what a functionary or a fiduciary's responsibilities are? Okay, so we're going to talk about something that Oregon has, and that's dual agency. Have you heard this term dual agency before? Okay. This is a great place to bring up the concept of dual agency, working for both the buyer and the seller on a transaction. Like I said, I've got many years in the sales part of this, and let me know if my microphone dies and I'll switch to my computer mic. Working for both buyer and seller in a transaction, it is legal in Oregon. It's not advisable, especially as a new agent. You need more experience under your belt working with buyers and buyers' needs, and more focusing on sellers and seller needs before you try to overlap that and manage both, right?
Question.
Yeah.
How common is it with seasoned agents to even do both sides? Or do people
Great question.
stay away?
Once you have some time and experience under your belt, it's absolutely acceptable to represent both sides. I do not recommend attempting this in your first 3 years as an agent. It gets very sticky. And we'll discuss why. We'll get into that. Because you're in a fiduciary relationship with your clients, it means making decisions based on their best interests alone. And when you have the buyer's best interest and the seller's best interest, and you're trying to be the fiduciary to both sides, it can become a little challenging to impress upon each client that you actually do have their best interests at heart when you're representing both. Many infractions that endanger the agent's license stem from this practice of dual agency. Will your buyer expect that you're telling them everything about the house, even items that may not be required to be disclosed? Will your seller expect that your offer that you're making on behalf of your buyers is in the seller's best interest? The seller says, hey, we're listing it at $275, but I'll take $250, and you write an offer for $249. Did you do that because you knew that the seller was going to accept $250? Is the seller going to have trust and faith in you that you asked your buyer to come in with their highest and best out the gate? So there's a lot of gray area, and you have to be a strong communicator to be able to do dual agency. Who knows what our Y4C2Ts are?
I've heard it, but I don't remember what it stands for.
I'm going to give you a real quick rundown. So win-win or no deal. Integrity, always do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. Equity, opportunities for all. And a success results through other. So knowing that's the Y4C2Ts, which of our Y4C2Ts apply to not representing both sides.
Can you repeat that again?
Sure, win-win or no deal.
Yeah.
Win-win. Integrity, always doing the right thing. Customers, always coming first. Commitment in all things. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. Equity, opportunities for all, and success results through people. So which Y4C2Ts apply to not representing both? Which one are you mastering, or which one are you honoring by choosing not to represent both buyer and seller?
I would say trust.
Definitely trust. And a win-win as well, right?
Mhm.
Here's the thing, as a newer agent or as an agent, dusting up your license and getting back into it, if you represent a seller, you do an open house, a buyer walks in, they want to make an offer, or however that plays out, I encourage you to refer the buyer. You can still negotiate a referral fee on that commission, and you can show integrity and trust with your seller that you've made the decision to be their fiduciary through the transaction. And it actually helps to kind of take the pressure off. And I've been in both situations where I decided to do dual agency and where I chose to refer off. And I'm going to tell you, as a seasoned agent with years under my belt, I got a bad review when I did a dual agency from both my buyer and seller, and I had helped that seller sell 3 houses because both of them in their review said there was no room to negotiate because I knew both sides of the transaction. And so it left both of my clients feeling like they didn't have my full attention on their best interest. Even though I know I acted accordingly, they didn't feel that way.
Yes, I know.
In addition, you owe confidentiality to both parties, right? How can
Right.
you be sure you're not giving away confidential information, even accidentally, even suggestively? Here are things that can go wrong with dual agency. Are you prepared to negotiate against yourself?
No,
Right? Like, how are we going to do that? When negotiating inspection items, how will you make the seller's case to the buyers? That the HVAC system is in working order and therefore should not be repaired, while telling the seller that the system is close to the end of its usual life, therefore should be replaced and covered by the seller. Both are legitimate representations on the same issue. They just come from different perspectives. Would you ever go to court against someone who shared your attorney?
no, no.
Right. And most attorneys won't do that, right? Even if you've talked to them and sought their advice, then the next person that you're going to court against can't come and use them, right? Attorneys just don't do that. Would you feel like you're getting the best representation possible while your lawyer spent half their time working with the opposing side?
Nope.
If not, refusing to do dual agency may be the best course of action for you. And we'll talk a little bit about when and where to start considering it in your business. Many agents work on both sides of the transaction. However, it is something to think about carefully, especially as a new agent. If you make it a practice not to work on both sides of the deal, you can add that to your value proposition so that your clients know they always have your time, your expertise, and your honest advice throughout the transaction without any competition. They know they're getting you 100% of you 100% of the time. And you're not making a plan with the opposite party to negotiate against them.
Let's.
Again, don't make a risky decision based on your need for cash flow. And we'll talk about that. Just don't make risky decisions in your business and in your practice based on your cash flow. Because, hey, 2 commissions is better, right? I'm in double-ended. I can negotiate the compensation the way I want so I can get a little bit more money out of this deal. Don't let your bank account make decisions for you that are going to put you and your business at risk. All right. Let me jump over here and just get this conversation template pulled up so that we can move on to the next thing. Setting expectations. This is huge. My favorite saying in the whole world, my mantra is expectations not set are resentments made. Resentments made are clients that leave you. Expectations not set are resentments made. And resentments made are clients that leave you. So we've talked about the 3 levels of service and revisited being and a fiduciary relationship with your clients. You could see those as the what of being a great agent. Now let's talk about the how of being a great agent. How you reach the 3 levels of service for your client is largely about communication and education. As a real estate agent, you are immersed in buying and selling houses every single day. It's your job. And for a lot of us, it's our passion as well. For our clients, this is something they may have never done. Even if they're a repeat buyer or seller, they are unlikely to do more than this. They're unlikely to do this more than once every 8 years or so, according to NAR statistics. Right? You may end up with repeat and return clients that are investors that do it more frequently, but for most agents, you're working with buyers that are doing this maybe once every 8 years. And as we know in the industry, the market changes frequently. I guarantee you, 8 years ago when I was writing sale agreements, those practices don't hold up in today's market. The market has changed, right? Buyer rep agreements exist. How we show up with our sellers has changed. The stakes are huge for most of us in the United States. Our homes are our single biggest asset. Therefore, you're going to demonstrate your expertise by educating your client on the realities of the market. It's your job. It's your job to know the market. It's your job to know the inventory. It's your job to communicate the realities of the market you are in, as well as the process. And you're going to do it often. You're going to tell them, this is the process. This is the next step. This is where we are. This is where we're going. When we get there, this is the next step. Again, you cannot over communicate with buyers and sellers. To do this, first you need to set expectations for the process and for communication. And for those of you that have done a few transactions, you may already understand this. Although the process is frequently the same, no 2 transactions are ever exactly alike. Ever. I've been doing this for 35 years. Ever. alike. I've sold the same house in the same neighborhood, wrote the same offer, ran them side by side by side. And when I was developing subdivisions, and the process was the same, but the transaction, because you've got different buyer needs, different loans, different inspections, they're just never exactly the same. A key component to educating your clients is to review the entire process. You've likely already touched on it during your buyer and listing consultation, hopefully. Yes. You're telling them this is what it looks like to buy a house. This is the process. This is what it looks like to sell a house. This is the process. So you're preparing them with an expectations conversation kind of up front. However, this is a complicated and emotional process, and people don't remember everything the first time you tell them, especially when it isn't in proximity. Raise your hand if you've ever told somebody something and 5 minutes later they asked you a question about what you already told them. Raise your hand if you spoke to somebody and you clearly stated, this is what we're going to do. This is the process. This is how it works. And you walked away and you felt like, did I say that in a foreign language? Why did they not understand what I said? Did I speak English? Did I even say this? This is true for most everything in our lives. So when we're going to talk about proximity, we're going to talk about what that means. If I ask you what you're having for dinner a week from today, would you know? What's for dinner next Monday? Some of you would because you're meal preppers, but some of you wouldn't. If you don't and you're not worried about it, you don't have an answer, it doesn't matter because it's not in close proximity to you. That meal is not near your needs right now, right? Your needs right now are you're much more interested in your next meal or dropping off that CMA to a client or getting a present for a birthday that you have coming up this weekend or a million other things. It's the same with the buyer and seller process.
Essentially the same logo, but it's the house. Yeah.
For example, if you told the buyer that they need to get out and see properties the same day they hit the market 2 months ago when they were focused on getting their down payment together, they likely won't remember the details because their focus is on where's the money coming from? Do I have enough money in my bank account? If you're now setting up their search, you should update them on how quickly the market is moving in their desired neighborhood and price point, and make it clear why it's important to shift their schedules around to the point of inconvenience to see the house that fits their criteria. At the same time, you'll also need to remind them that if they see a house they like, that they need to put an offer in on it right away.
The market and everything.
I got a little bit of feedback there. The same goes for the seller. Just because you've covered how chaotic the first week in the market could be during your listing presentation 2 months ago, it doesn't mean they remember. Reiterate how important it is to be flexible for showings. Remind them that they told you they would go out and walk the door. They only needed an hour to let a client in. You know, you're going to have to remind them frequently. For most people, it's very rare to have to make such big decisions. Most people in their jobs, in their day-to-day, we are creatures of habit. And adding the buying process or the selling process knocks us out of our habit. Prepare your clients for this change at their day-to-day pace This is especially important as you get to time sensitive portions of the contract. Often contracts require an answer within 24 hours, if not less, in hot markets, right? The buyers want a response on the repair addendum right away. Sellers want a response on their counteroffer within the end of the next business day, right? Time is of the essence, becomes really important in our world. Therefore, you need to make sure that your seller knows once the house hits the market, they will respond to your texts and calls in a very timely fashion. They say immediately here. You know, people have real life schedules, but it's important to set the expectation. Hey, Mr. Seller, we've got your house on the market. If I get an offer, I'm going to contact you in a way you like to be contacted, whether it's a call, a text, or an email. And I need a response from you in a timely manner so we can discuss the offer. Remember, you're always staying in communication and setting and reiterating expectations for this process. We talked about some of those touch points. You should be communicating with your clients at least once a week. You'll likely go over the contract before you ever see a house with your buyers and before showings happen with your sellers. Hopefully you're doing that. Hopefully you're having a conversation with your clients. This is what's in this agreement that we're going to write or we're going to receive, so that when you send it to your sellers or when you're writing it with your buyers, they already understand the workings of that agreement, of that contract. By going it over now, there isn't time pressure. They'll have some familiarity with it before they need to rush to put in an offer or quickly decide on acceptance. At each stage, you'll review with them where you are and where you're going. In addition to the contract, what are some other documents you need to go over with your clients?
You said, what are the other documents?
Right, other than the sale agreement, what other documents will you need to go over with your buyers and sellers? What
So
might a
is-
buyer have to put on an offer?
The property disclosure statement.
Yeah. What are other documents you might include on a sale agreement?
Agency disclosure.
Agency disclosure, absolutely. What are some other things that might come up during the course of a transaction or as you're writing an offer?
I'm learning that HOAs have a ton of paperwork, so there's a lot of HOA documents I'm having to upload now.
HOA documents, absolutely. Park, like if you're buying a mobile home in the park, CC&Rs, right? If you're buying in a subdivision, CC&Rs. An inspection waiver, inspection agreement, right? Why? Why am I doing an inspection addendum? What does that mean? Lead-based paint disclosures, right? What's a lead-based paint disclosure and why do I need it on this house and not on that house? What are some other ones that come up pretty frequently, and especially in rural areas?
Septic and well inspections.
Absolutely.
Wood stove addendum.
Yep. Absolutely.
Can I ask
The plat
about
map
that?
for boundaries, especially on rural property.
Emily?
If they have a septic or a well, does an inspection have to be done within a certain time frame, or only if the buyer requests it?
So with well, the seller is required to do certain tests, water purity tests on the well.
Okay.
And in Southern Oregon, we've got splotchy water. So well flow test is really important. Did you know that you cannot have your home inspection done the same day you have your well flow tested.
No, why is that? Why is that?
Because your home inspector needs the water to test the pipes in the home. And the well flow guy is going to be pulling water to do the well. So that can't be done on the same day. It impacts both of them. They both need that water.
So,
And in your addendums, you've got certain time frames built into that, 3 days for certain things, 10 days for certain things. If you're doing a well flow and you're doing a home inspection, you might want to add more time to get the well flow done and the purity test done. If your buyer wants a full purity test done above what the seller is required by Oregon to do. These are conversations to have with the seller when you're getting the listing paperwork signed, right? Like, be prepared. The buyer's going to need maybe more than 10 days to get their inspection period done. And for your buyer, these are why we do these inspections, right? At each stage, you'll review with them, your clients, where you are and where you're going. We're calling this future pacing with your client. I have an autistic son. We call this now, when, then with my kiddo. Now we're here. When we're done with this, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And then we jump to the next now, when, then. And we could repeat that over and over and over. Your clients need the same sort of attention. Now, when, then. It's called future pacing. It's setting them up for, we're completing this task today. The next task to come is this, so be prepared. And then we're going to go here. And then you're going to jump to the when is now the now. For example, when talking to buyers who have just submitted their offer, you would tell them how long the seller has to get back to them, what the outcome might be, whether they accept, whether they counter, whether they reject, and then what the basic steps would be in each of those 3 scenarios. We'll talk about this more on the day we cover offers. All right. This setting expectations for communication. Some agents feel like they can never turn their phone off or take a day off, right? Oh my gosh, I work 7 days a week, 24/7, all the time. Can't walk away, can't go on vacation. I'm going to get busy. If you turn your phone off at a certain time each evening, make sure your clients know. If they're aware that you won't get back to them between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., they will not be looking for a reply during those hours. This goes both ways. Be sure to find out how your client prefers to be communicated. This should be part of your first consultation appointment. Do you love text? Do you love a phone call? Do you love an email? Do you love a text for this, but an email for that? What time are you available for me to text, email, or call you? These are my working hours. This is when I'm available to text, message, and email. I have a standing appointment every Wednesday from 6 to 3. So I will not be, that's a long appointment, from 2 to 3. So I will not be answering my phone during that time or replying to text messages. But I'll get back to you as soon as I can after that standing appointment. Know who the decision makers are in the transaction. Should it be a group text? Or is there one person that wants to be the primary information receiver that's going to convey that to the other partner? Do they have children who have homework or need assistance and they prefer not to be disturbed at a certain time? We talked about that. Again, you should be asking, do you prefer a text or a call for my weekly updates? I'm going to give you a weekly update every Tuesday, whether there's something has changed in the transaction or not. Every Tuesday, I'm going to communicate with you. Do you want that via text, email, or phone call? Are emails okay for next steps checklist? Because I'm going to tell you, we're going to do every time we're in a process, I'm going to tell you what the next steps are. Do you want that via email? We're here. This is what's next. I work, and I tell all my agents this, I work from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. But my weekends are for my family, so I may be a little slower to reply to you on the weekends. Ask them, what time are these hours of communication acceptable for you? I work from 7 to 7. What times during these hours are acceptable for you? Do you want to take text messages at 7 o'clock in the morning? Would you prefer I schedule those out so that you're not receiving them until 8 o'clock in the morning? Because I can send a text and schedule it. And I've done my work at 7 o'clock in the morning, but you're receiving that text at 8. Technology is amazing. You really need to communicate that. You really need to come to an agreement ahead of time, and you need to respect it. If you say you work from 7 to 7, don't return a text at 7:15. Don't set that boundary. If they say they can take calls up until 6 o'clock at night, don't send them a text after 6. Don't make a phone call after 6. Because the minute you break that with them, then you've allowed this to go on in the future, right? You responded at 7:15. Now they can contact you until 7:30. You called them after 6 and they said they didn't want to be communicated after 6. You've broken trust. All right. That's setting expectations. What will happen if a home comes on the market that is perfect for your buyers? The weekend your sister is getting married out of state. This always happens, right? Realtor law. Go on vacation and your business picks up. Have a plan and communicate it well in advance. For example, if the wedding's on May 1st and you start working with these buyers on March 1st, you already know about the wedding. Communicate that when you meet and after signing the agreement, and in clear intervals leading up to the date. Just a reminder, I want to let you know I will not be available May 1st, my sister's wedding. Be sure they know you have a colleague who will cover showings if needed. This is the person who's going to be covering my business. This is my partner that's going to be showing you property during this time. And be sure your brokerage team knows who that person is, especially if you're a listing agent. If you have a listing and you're going to be gone and a floor call comes in on your listing, who are we supposed to send that buyer to in your absence? If you're in contract and something goes haywire and we need to put a lender, a escrow person, a home inspector, police, a fire person in contact with someone, who do they need to contact in your absence? Make sure your brokerage knows who's covering for you. Make sure your client knows who's covering for you. Make sure they know the extent of their coverage, right? They're going to open the house for you, but I'm going to negotiate the offer. They'll shoot me a text and let me know that you want to write an offer on the house, and they'll pass it back to me. Or they're going to take care of it all the way from showing you the house to they're going to write the offer, and I'm going to step back in as soon as I'm back from my wedding, from my sister's wedding. So make sure you clearly convey that. Get that information ahead of time. As a listing agent, perhaps your sellers could be out of town or unavailable, right? What happens? What happens if it's your seller's sister's wedding? They're going to be out of town. get that information well ahead of time and put it into the MLS so agents will know where they need to, they might need to provide a longer response time on offers, right? If your sellers aren't going to be able to look at offers for a couple of days, they're traveling, they're on vacation, they're out of the country. I can't tell you how many times we had sellers out of the country in a remote area where they did not have cell service or email service, and we got an offer. Also, let your clients know when to communicate needs to change, when communication needs change. In other words, you'll adhere to their 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. no call rules unless necessary. But once they put their home on the market, when time is of the essence, we all must act quickly. So let's say you have a seller whose house is on the market and they say, no phone calls after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll pick up at 8 o'clock the next morning. And you get an offer at 7:30. Are you going to wait till 8 o'clock the next morning to call that seller when time is of the essence? Probably not. So you need to have that conversation with your client. If I get an offer, if something happens during our out of communication hours, how do you want me to convey that to you? Can I send you a text that says, please call me when it's easy? Can I send you a text that says, we've got an offer. Please call me at your earliest convenience. Make it clear to your clients that when turnaround becomes a primary concern to the success of their purchase or sale, these details should be shared early in your relationship so everybody knows what to expect. Some of my text messages I like to use in these cases are call when it's easy. Is now a good time to talk? Great news. X require us, X, maybe an offer, maybe multiple offers, maybe it's your first showing, whatever it is, something requires us to jump on a call ASAP. Congratulations, great news. That's for your good news. If you got bad news that you got to share with a client, you might say new news. Something requires us to jump on a call ASAP. What works for you? Can you take a call now? So know how to breach those conversations as well.
Do you have those written down somewhere?
Who asked that? I'm sorry, I looked away.
Senior.
Senior. I can get those in an email follow-up.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, still talking about expectations, still talking about communication. Again, you cannot over communicate, and it's your job to know the market. So now we're going to talk about updating your client's view of the market. This is another way for you to show your expertise when they need to understand the realities of the market they are in. As agents, we are seeing market shifts every day in 2025. We've seen it go up, we've seen it go down, we've seen new interest rates, we've seen new pricing. Market is moving incrementally every single day. And so it's really important for you to understand the market, and it's really important for your client to understand the realities of the market they are in. Is it a seller's market or an extreme seller's market? We haven't seen that for a while. Are houses slowing down to become more of a buyer's market? National trends in housing are often on the news, and often they're wrong, right? Because the news likes to talk about what's happening nationally and not what's happening in your market. Even if it's in the news, it doesn't mean the clients are paying attention or that the trend nationally is the same in your market. So let's set clear intervals so which you will re-educate your client on the current market. Again, during that Tuesday call, the weekly call with your client, You might want to, since you're calling every week, you might want to make one of those calls a market update call, right? The third Tuesday of the month is your market update call. This is what's changed in the market since we talked the last third Tuesday. Be sure to translate what the market means to them, right? You could say 30% of new homes on the market are taking 45% longer to sell. Awesome. What does that mean for my listing? Awesome. What does that mean about my ability to write an offer and ask for tons of concessions? Right? You have to not just stout statistics. Statistics are great, but they want to know, what does that mean for them? So you need to translate that to them. In an extreme seller's market where houses are going on average 10% over asking, should you be looking at the top tier of their price? Should you be looking at the top tier of a buyer's price point?
Nope.
No, you got to give them room to negotiate, right? In that market, explain that you're setting your buyers up for success by showing them houses below their price point so that they can go in over asking and know what wins in your market and communicate that to your buyers, right? If homes are going 10% over list, you don't want to be at the top of your buyer's purchase ability, because every offer is going to get rejected. And what happens when every offer gets rejected? Those poor buyers. Those poor buyers get exhausted and frustrated. All right. So, what are my favorite ways to do this? Have any of you played in Area Pro?
Yes.
What do you think about it?
I have a hard time understanding a little bit of it. I mean, I get kind of a general idea of it, but I guess I don't know enough to understand exactly what it means.
Thank you. Thank you for that honesty. Area Pro is a great resource. Your local MLS, you can go in and say, from this point, I want to look at every house that matches, say, my listing or my buyer's need, right? My buyer wants to buy in this neighborhood. They're looking for 3.2. They're looking for 1,400 to 1,600 square feet. And it'll just pull you up a list of properties. That's great. That's raw data, but it doesn't tell a story. And if you're new to understanding the market and understanding what it means for buyers and what it means for sellers, Area Pro can help you create conversations and create graphics and create booklets that you can share with your clients to help convey the story of what's happening in the market. RPR. Does anybody use RPR? Through NAR? That's another one that can take the raw data and make a story out of it. Learning and understanding your market is really going to be helpful for you to become a better storyteller about what's happening in your market. As usual, Keller Williams technology you can leverage to help show your expertise and clearly and consistently keep your clients up to date. In Command, you can create neighborhood watches for both buyers and sellers to show your sellers what's happening in their neighborhood. Hey, this home sold for this home sold for that, while your house sat on the market. Maybe we need to talk about a price adjustment. Maybe we need to talk about a condition, right? For buyers, right? This is new on the market that meets your criteria. This one sold quickly because the buyers went over asking. These are great neighborhood watch points. Your local MLS may also have the ability to set up buyer and seller watches, neighborhood watches. Share your Keller Williams app to be sure that your buyer and seller guide, and make sure that your buyer and seller guides are up to date and in sync with your current market systems. Your market center tech trainer can help you with that. For example, in parts of the country where national disasters have made home insurance significantly more expensive in the recent years, perhaps you move checking for insurance quotes up in your buyer's timeline, right? When building out checklists for buyers and sellers. Like, again, the process is always the same, right? Let's say we're working with a buyer. I'm going to set you up on a hot list report. You're going to look at addresses and determine neighborhoods and addresses you like. I'm going to want you to drive through that neighborhood and tell me if that is a home in an area with the right look from the street that you want. And then we're going to see about getting into the house and doing a walkthrough, right? For the process, it's going to be the same. But with buyers, maybe they're buying rural property. And I know in Southern Oregon, this is a challenge for us, is fire insurance. Maybe with buyers, when they're working with their lender and they're getting that pre-approval, maybe they also want to start shopping insurance if they know they're going to be buying rural property. Get different insurance quotes, build relationships with those folks. Perhaps you move from checking insurance quotes and you move home inspection periods. Maybe they're not buying in a subdivision that's all cookie cutter. Maybe they are buying rural and they need more time to do that well and septic. So we need to start preparing them for that. Maybe we need to do some research. Who do you like for well inspections? And you start vetting those well inspectors, right? How long does it take to schedule a well inspection? What is a purity test? How long is it taking to get the reports back on a purity test? Like things you might need to navigate as an agent. If your market's slowing down, you may put more time in your seller's timeline for home staging so that the house shows really well the first days on the market, right? 2 items you should put in your checklist in Command are to ask for reviews and referrals. Make it easy for your clients.
Carrie, where is that asking for reviews and referrals in Command?
That's just your checklist that you're building out in Command.
Okay.
You're going to ask via text, via email, via voice. You're going to personally ask for these things. And here's what I say about asking for referrals. Ask at the beginning of your transaction when they built that trust and they really are like you're communicating with them at a high level. Ask for it frequently throughout the transaction and make it easy for them. Share the link. Hey, Mandy, throughout this process, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and give me a review. And here's the link where I want you to do it, whether it's a Zillow review, whether it's a personal review, and you're just collecting them via a Google form. And then ask them, can I share this review outwardly? We'll go over a little bit more around that. Ask for referrals. Hey, oh my gosh, woo! We got you into contract. Is there anybody else I can help buy or sell a property? Who else needs to make a move this year? Who should I be talking to? I'd really love to get them into contract too. I'd really love to help them. Oh my gosh, we just got you a $5,000 credit. Whoa, who else can I help? Right? Ask for those referrals frequently and often. At every point in the transaction, we're going to close early. We just got the appraisal, $10,000 over what we wrote the offer for. You have $10,000 in equity. Ask for those referrals frequently and often. Ask for those reviews and make it easy for them. Send them a link. Send them a link. Send them a link. Right? Because we all know people like easy, right? They like easy. And they feel weird saying it. right? Like, oh, I got to write this in an email to you. But if I can do it almost anonymously through a link and just answer 5 or 6 questions, easy. You may be thinking, well, we haven't even put in an offer on a house. Why am I asking for reviews and referrals? Because you're already proving your value, which is the first step to gaining referrals and reviews. From the beginning, tell your client, throughout this process, I'm going to give you amazing service and earn your trust so that you'll want every member of your family to work with me. One of my favorite ones is, oh, by the way, in the next few days, you're going to hear somebody talking about real estate. I really hope that you'll give my information out. That's psychological training. And that's like saying, when you leave here today, you're going to see blue cars. And then all you see on your drive home is blue cars. So when you say that to a client, oh, by the way, you're going to hear somebody talk about real estate. I'd really like for you to share my name and number with them. You've just trained them to listen for people talking about real estate. And then they've made an agreement to share your name and number with them. 68% of sellers who used an agent found their agent through referral by a friend or family member. 68% of sellers who used an agent found that agent by referral from a friend or family member. I cannot tell you how many times I had a lead off of a third-party source and I sent them information and I called them and we were texting. And then they ghosted me. And then they called me a few weeks later. Oh, you'll be so happy we're in contract. I wrote an offer with my sister's brother's friend, who's a realtor. It's because they got the referral from somebody that they liked and trusted. You've got to help create those people. So the people that you're in business with, the ones you're writing offers for, the ones you're showing, those are the people you need to start building that relationship and trust so that they will refer you. There are simple steps to gaining referrals. First one, provide value. Every time you call somebody, provide value. Whether it's a tip or a tidbit or a suggestion or just helping them find a new frame of mind that day, provide value. Provide stellar service. Provide education and advice and care. The next simple step is ask for help. Let people know that you're in a business based on referrals. Hey, my business is from helping people just like you. And when you share the experience that I gave you, it helps my business grow. Your conversations book has some great and easy ways to ask for this help. It can be as simple as, I rely on referrals. If you know anyone that is looking to buy or sell, I would be so grateful if you could let me know. People don't know what you need unless you ask for it. A while back, there used to be a tagline on everybody's business card and in everybody's signature that says, the greatest compliment I can receive is a referral from you. The greatest compliment I can receive is a referral from you. It was on business cards. It was how people signed off on their emails. Even for a minute there, it was a LinkedIn. This is predating Facebook and Instagram, by the way. I think it should make a comeback. And then reward the behavior of a referral. Somebody sent you a referral. Don't wait for a closing. As soon as the client or other member of your sphere of influence tells you that they shared your information, send them a thank you card. Drop a $5 coffee card in there, right? $2 lottery ticket. Send them a thank you. Like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for giving my name and number out, or thank you for giving me this person's name and contact information. Make them feel good for doing it. Reward that behavior. Rewarding behavior gets more of the same. So don't wait for the closing. Do it as soon as that person remembers you. Whether they mention you on social media, hey, I'm looking for a realtor. Oh my gosh, you've got to use Mandy. Oh, I shared my daughter's was at a concert last night, and the people we were sitting next to asked for a realtor, and I gave them your card. Send those thank yous, reward them. Again, a thank you card, little handwritten thank you card with a little something in it. Coffee card, lottery tickets, bag of tea, some inspirational quote. Give them something.
Hey, Carrie, what platform are you using to collect these reviews?
So there's several different ways to do that. You can create a Google form and then share that as a link via text or email. And that way they just click on the link and they fill out a quick questionnaire. This can be, you can set up a Google page for your business and they can leave reviews on your Google page. You can create, Zillow has a place for people to leave you Zillow reviews. There's several platforms to collect reviews from.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we talked about referrals. We're going to talk a little bit about the reviews. Ask for the reviews throughout the transaction. Don't wait to the end. Don't wait to the end. Your clients are exhausted at the end of a transaction. The last thing they want to do while they're unpacking their house and trying to figure out how they're going to move the dog and crate the animals and take care of babies while they're unpacking is to write you a review. That's the last thing they have time for. So ask for reviews throughout the transaction. Again, I shared with you pivotal moments during the transaction when you should ask for a review. Has anybody done any work on your home lately? Anybody move? Anybody have a handyman service come out? Anybody have flowers delivered to a friend or family member?
I did. I took flowers to a friend. I bought her the pot, the soil, and a gardenia.
Awesome. Anybody eat at a new restaurant lately?
All the time.
Where did you start your search?
Google.
Google. And why did you choose to go there?
It's easy.
Right. And when you Googled somebody, you looked at their pictures, you read the review. I mean, when I shop on Amazon, I'm like, is that shirt really silk or does it just look like silk in the picture? What did this person say about the size? Is it true to size? Did they love it? Did they hate it? Did it take too long to ship? Was it melted when they got it? You start your search on the internet and you often look for reviews. What did other people say about their experience, right? Loved the restaurant. They took good care of us. The views were beautiful. The food was immaculate. Even social media. I see my friend eating at River's Edge. It's a beautiful location. They're overlooking the river and they're just elated. They just had the best meal of their life. Guess where I'm planning to go next time I want to sit by the river and eat? I'm going to River's Edge, right? Well, that's a review. Buyers and sellers do the same. They read reviews to make their decisions. You need to make sure you have as much of a positive presence as possible on the internet. In great news, you already have your own website through Keller Williams. That's one place you'll be sure to get reviews. Telling potential clients how successful you are at finding and selling homes can be effective. It's not bragging. It's not bragging to let people know your business is doing well. You're in the business of letting people know you're able to serve them. It's a great piece to use in your marketing with buyers and sellers in your buyer and seller presentation. I helped 15 families move last year. This is what they said about their experience. I helped 15 sellers sell their home last year. This is what they said about their experience working with me in getting their home marketed and sold. These are great marketing pieces. Having clients share about their experience throughout the transaction on social media is called social proof. When you get other people to do the talking for you, it's huge. It's huge. So telling clients how successful you are is great marketing. It's even more effective when other people do the sharing and bragging for you. It lends more credibility. Even more so than that Google review, right? I go to Google, the restaurant says it's great. 5 people said they had a great experience there. But if I see my friend went to that restaurant and had a great experience, I am for sure going to that restaurant. So when you ask for a review, share the link, make it easy for them. The most important thing you can do to get reviews, the most important thing you can do to get reviews is familiar and easy. Give value and ask. Why are they giving you a review? Tell them why they're giving you a review. We just got you into contract. Oh my gosh, would you give me a review? We just got you into contract. How do you feel? Can I share that can I make a social media post and share that? Right? We see a lot of realtors on social media with a picture of a house just pended. What if it was a picture of your clients? Or what if it was a testimony from your clients? We just put my buyers, X and Y, into contract, and this is what they had to say about their experience with me. You should start your relationship by letting the client know that you are going to ask for a 5-star review, just like you did with any referrals, and remind them throughout the process. Ask for reviews and referrals often and make it easy. Okay, so here's a simple request for a review. If your purchasing or selling experience exceeded your expectations, would you be so kind to give me a brief review? This could be a text message. Then right there, I would put the link to your Google form, to your website review questionnaire, to your Zillow, to whatever you're using, your Google business page, link it right there. And then I'd also like your permission to use this in my advertising and marketing. So by completing the review, they're giving you their permission to do that, right? You can use that review to make a Canva or a designs really pretty little social media post. Review from my client. We just got them into contract. Review from my client. We just successfully built equity in a home that they're closing on in a week. Review from my seller. We just put their home into contract in record time for above asking. Review from my seller. This was the easiest transaction they've ever done. Review from my client. She was a great communicator and called me once a week, every week, to let me know when things were happening and when they weren't. Social proof, right? It's important to coach clients about what to share in their review. Seller-oriented reviews gain attention when they address things like the client's house sold quickly, right? So tell your clients, I'm going to ask for reviews from you when we sell your house quickly. Would you share that when you know what? I just realized my name is Tanya on this. Sorry, ADHD brain. So again, seller reviews gain attention when they address things like their home sold quickly, they got their asking price or above, they were impressed by your service. What are other seller-oriented statements that would be persuasive in a client testimonial? What could a seller say about your great service? So come on, not everybody at once. What are you offering your sellers as a value that they could rave about?
How you've assisted with their clean out of their house so they don't have to do it.
Perfect. It's another
Helping
thing.
them with
helping
the
with
moving
contractors.
truck, moving company.
Set them up with moving company. Yeah. What else?
Helping with contract work.
Mm-hmm. You explain the process clearly and set their expectations. They understood the process, right? They're all doing this once every 8 years, maybe, guys. Like they understood the process, right? And you were the person that explained it to them so they could understand. You communicated with them frequently. This whole chapter is about communication. Nothing makes a client happier than the fact that they don't have to pick up the phone to call you to find out what's going on. You want to beat them to that every time. You communicated with them frequently. I heard this before. You help find contractors. You help find the moving truck. You help find the guy to come paint the fence. You staged the home. Who said that? Got the home ready to move out, got the home ready to move in, right? You helped locate the stager or you helped stage it yourself. Marketing, right? You marketed on several different platforms. You need to tell them. You need to tell sellers. I'm putting it, it'll be on Zillow, it'll be on Realtor, it'll be on Redfin, it'll be on my personal webpage, it'll be on Keller Williams's webpage, it's going to be on the local MLS. I'm going to run a special ad for it in the real estate magazine. We're going to put a big old sign in front of your yard. I'm going to take brokers through your home. I'm going to market the heck out of your property. And these are the ways I'm going to do it. Right? Oh my gosh, they marketed this home in every possible way. Right? Share with them the different platforms you're going to be marketing it on. Another is that you had a great team or they had a great experience with your team. Remember, everybody you do business with throughout the transaction, even if it's the buyer's picked lender, that person is now a part of your team. And it's your responsibility to make sure your client has the best experience with everybody on your team. Everybody on your team. So your client may pick a lender you don't love. It's your responsibility to make sure that that experience is the best experience possible for your client. And that starts with communication. And sometimes we have to step up our communication to make that happen for them. All right. Buyer-oriented reviews. So buyer-oriented reviews persuade when they say things like they found their perfect home quickly, that you've negotiated a great price for them. They felt comfortable with the money they spent to acquire the home. The transaction went smoothly. Why did the transaction go smoothly? Well, you set expectations, you communicated with them frequently, you let them know now, when, then, now we're here, when we get there, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this. Transaction went smoothly. Transactions are not all smooth. Transactions are not at all smooth. But they don't ever need to feel like it's bumpy, because we're going to set expectations and we're going to have those frequent communications with them. They're going to think it was the smoothest contract you ever did. We're not going to share with them our frustrations. We're only going to share with them, hey, we've got a challenge today, and this is what we're going to do to overcome it. Just like when you're teaching your kiddo how to ride a bike. You're not going to tell your kid, oh my gosh, I'm going to put you on this bike. You're going to fall 7 times. You're going to scrape your knee. You're going to, you never, I'm here with you the whole way. I'm going to hold on until you tell me to let go, right? That's, your client needs to feel that safe and that trust and that smoothness in their transaction. And that's a great way to get reviews. When they feel that, they'll share it. And that's a great review. They were impressed by your service, right? When your client is impressed with your service, they gave me white glove concierge level service. I wasn't their biggest buyer, but I felt like I was their only buyer, right? They gave me the time and the intention to explain where I was in the transaction. Their team did a great job helping me. What are other buyer-oriented statements that could be persuasive in getting a client testimonial? What are things your buyers could say about you?
You're on time.
Yes. Oh my gosh. do not
Excellent
look for-
negotiation skills.
Ah, that's a huge one. Buyers love agents that'll negotiate the heck out of it for them.
Even if it's a bumpy transaction and they know it, and there was like for me, I had a transaction almost fall because of a lender. I brought in another lender, and because of that, it saved the transaction, and they are aware of that and talk about it. So even if it's a bump, something that's detrimental, and you still come in and save it, they're very appreciative, and they'll usually mark it off of that as well.
Mandy, you hit on a really important point. I said make it a smooth transaction for a client, but you're right. Sometimes we need to say, this is not going well, or this is a challenge that has come up, and I have done this for you. I have done this. I'm prepared for this challenge, and we're going to pivot. We're going to do something different. But that's just made it smooth for them. You didn't come in and go, oh, you can't do your phone. Everything's falling apart. I don't know what to do. That's not smooth. You've just given them, but when you have a plan and you have a system, they're going to see the duck on the top of the water, not the feet under the water, right? Buyers are going to rave and review about those things. You found the perfect home. You negotiated a great price. The transaction went smoothly. You explained the process, right? You explained it to them. You took time to explain it to them. You worked closely with their lender. That's something most agents don't do in this day and age. Go fill out your loan application online. Let me know what you're pre-approved for. Your lender will call me to schedule the appraisal. And then we'll close escrow, and I'll bug them when I don't have closing docs. Like, you need to have a relationship with their lender. That person is part of your team, and you're working closely with their lender. Buyers are going to appreciate that. They're going to appreciate that you know what their lender's doing, and they don't have to be the middleman between them and their lender and their agent. Let buyers know, hey, I'm going to give you 3 inspectors. Which one would you like to use? I'm going to schedule that inspection. What days work for you? I scheduled the inspection for you, right? You scheduled those inspections. You scheduled those appraisals. You scheduled the well flow test. Let them know I did this for you, right? Let them be happy that they didn't have to figure it out on their own. You've reviewed the inspection report. I know what's in that inspection report. So I'm going to be able to help you understand what's priority in this inspection report and what's not. I'm going to help share with you so that you can understand what is a safety issue, what is a financing concern, something we need to deal with right now, and what are things that you maybe need to just watch for the next 3 to 5 years while you're in the house, right? I'm going to be the calm place in this. You reviewed the inspections and you communicated them with them. Number one thing buyers want. We felt comfortable. We felt comfort. This is the biggest thing they will spend money on in their lifetime. Trust equals comfort. Comfort equals trust. They felt comfortable with you. They're going to talk about things like child support, their debt to income ratio, their credit card usage, their ability to buy, their willingness to maybe not go into contract today and start buying today, but maybe work on some credit issues so that they can be a solid buyer in the future, right? They need to be comfortable with that. Our agent was low pressure. You can be an agent that creates energy and motivation and still be low pressure. Again, this comes from trust and being comfortable with you, right? They set expectations. I knew what we were doing all along the way. I always knew where we were going throughout the process of buying this home. I've had so many buyers come to me over the years, not just my buyers that I refer a lot of clients to agents. And those clients will call me and they'll go, they set us up on the MLS and we're getting listings, but we'd like to see different listings. I don't know why we're only seeing these listings. We're on Zillow and we see a bunch of other listings that we like, but we're only getting these from our agent. Can we only look at these that our agent sends us? Setting expectations, communicating frequently. Again, number one rule, you cannot over communicate. You cannot over communicate. And then that you have a great team and a great experience. You had a great team, which offered them a great experience.
So are you saying that we can send stuff from like Realtor and other companies to them?
Through Keller Williams Command, you can set them up on neighborhood searches. Through your local MLS, you should be able to set them up on property searches that sends them updated listings and that meet their criteria. Absolutely.
So keep in mind, generally speaking, the homes that are are on the MLS are pushed through to Redfin, Realtor.com, and Zillow. And unless it's a for sale by owner, those are the only ones that aren't generally within the MLS. So if you're sending those MLSs to your client, it's fed from that local area to the 3 outlets.
So here's the thing, right? If I go to Zillow, I'm going to see every home in Medford. But if my agent sets me up on a neighborhood watch, I'm only going to see the homes come into my email that are in the neighborhood I've identified as where I want to buy, in the price range of what I want to buy, that matches the square footage, bedrooms, baths, and those criteria that I've given to my agent. So it's more of a dialed insert. The other thing is if you're doing an MLS search, or a neighborhood search through Keller Williams, when that data is entered into the MLS, those reports can go out daily or hourly. You can set those up so every hour, if a new listing hits, your client gets that new listing. If it goes from the IDX feed, from the MLS to Realtor or to Zillow, there may be a delay in when they see that listing. So if you want to see what's happening quickly, if you've got a buyer that's like, every home we go look at and write an offer on is pending before we can write our offer, right? We've all had that client. Like, we're losing every offer. I feel like we're not getting our offer in front of the sellers quickly enough. And maybe you might want to have that coming directly from the MLS. And maybe you want to have that set up on an hourly so that they're getting updates every hour.
That makes sense.
All right.
That makes sense. I have a client who finds them faster than I do.
Mm-hmm. It's because, again, and the busier you get, the more difficult it becomes to look at every listing that's hitting the market, right? You might just be checking your hot sheet in the morning, but I could be inputting a listing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you're not looking till 8 o'clock the next morning, your buyer's going to be laying in bed at their lunch hour on a Zoom call over here looking at Zillow while I'm on the Zoom call, right? Buyers are really hyper invested. They are one person looking for one property. You are one person probably looking for 6 or 7 different buyers at any given time, right? So they're hyper focused. Your focus is a little more spread out. Using those tools as leveraging those tools to get that information, it's coming from you. They don't know you're not sitting at your computer sending that report every hour. All right. So what ahas? Oh, do you know what an aha is?
Hmm.
Who knows what the definition of an aha is?
Usually it's something clever that you can use to leverage.
The definition of an aha is agents helping agents succeed.
Ah, aha.
Aha, agents helping agents succeed. So that's ahas. Then we share ahas because they're powerful and meaningful insights that come from reflection on the experience that we're having. So who has any ahas from this first part that we've gone over?
I actually have an agent that I'm friends with who cannot sell manufactured homes with her brokerage, so she refers those clients to me.
Awesome. How are you providing value? And you could even use that as a great opportunity to get social proof from another agent.
Yes. Also,
Right.
you can do open houses for an agent and you're both winning.
What are some ahas about communication with buyers and sellers?
Aha moments.
Any ahas about the referrals and the reviews? Dual agency. Any ahas on that? We covered a lot. We covered
did.
dual agency, reviews and referrals. Mostly we talked about ways to create a happy client relationship. Consistently and clearly communicating regarding the current market and the process of buying and selling, right? Anything in that was like, good, because mind-blowing stuff is coming. Again, I said at the beginning of this, I want you to get comfortable asking uncomfortable questions. This is where we practice saying things out loud. When you work with buyers and sellers, sometimes we have to have caring conversations. And we need to talk about things that are uncomfortable. We need to dig deep down in ourselves to ask for a review. Oh my gosh. Will you say something nice about me? Oh, that's so uncomfortable, right? We have to get comfortable talking to each other so that we can be comfortable talking to our clients. And that's what these Ignite classes are really all about. There's the education component, and then there's speaking up and using our voice. All right, this is a really an interactive part. So far, we've covered dual agency, success with buyers, success with sellers. This is a long class, by the way, guys. This is a very long class, and we're going to try to boogie through the second part of this kind of quickly here. Let's look at this chart here. What is the number one thing on here that buyers most want from their agent? It's the red one.
In the right home.
Find the right home. Guys, this is the interactive part. Find the right home to purchase. No surprise, right? That's why they're hiring you. They want you to do the work. They want you to find the home. When buyers come to you and go, hey, we saw this house on Zillow. Will you show it to us? Oh my gosh, it's the house of our dreams. Let's write an offer on it. Guess who found the home? When you sent them a neighborhood nurture report and it had that house on it, and they went, oh my gosh, let's go look at this house. And you went, I previewed this house. This is exactly the house for you. Will you drive by it and tell me if you love the neighborhood while I do the research on the property and call the listing agent? Now you've found the house for them. You just changed your value. You just valued up. Number two, Alexander said this one earlier. What is the second most important thing for buyers?
Negotiate.
Negotiate. Agents will work with a agent that most agents don't love because that agent will negotiate for them. And they'll go back and work with that agent because that agent negotiated for them hard. That's how you get return business, is you negotiate for your client. Same way you want your principal broker to have your back if something gets tough, your client wants you to have their back if something gets tough. Oddly enough, number three, help with price negotiations. That's lower than terms of the sell. What do you think that is for buyers? Because the price is known, right? The price is known. You know what your buyer is qualified for before you even write the offer. The terms are not known. The terms become evident once you're in contract, once you have a home inspection, once you have an appraisal. That's when those terms become evident, right? So helping with price negotiations is a little lower than the terms, right? The other, what is the other? The other is paperwork. 8% said paperwork. 6% said determine what comparable homes we're selling for. 6%. 4% said help determining how much home the buyers can afford. Again, that's predetermined. That price and that the qualifications all comes before the offer. Oops, I jumped ahead. All right, so this is really important. If you're not doing this, stop what you're doing, pay attention. This is so important. This is a buyer's needs analysis. This is how you determine all the things you need to know before you get into the buyer rep agreement or after you've gotten into the buyer rep agreement with the client. These are the questions you need to ask your client. So this is the first step in stellar buyer service, is being aware of your buyer's needs. You should have conducted a thorough needs analysis with your initial buyer consultation leading up to the signed agreement. If you didn't, this is the time to revisit it and set this up. You should always do a needs analysis. Always, always, always do a needs analysis with your client, whether it's a buyer or seller. and then revisit this process from time to time. Why should we revisit the needs analysis with your buyers?
Because they realize what's out on the market may not fit what they want or their dreams are.
Absolutely. Who else? Why else should we follow needs analysis? Why should we revisit the needs analysis?
Life changes.
Life changes. Life changes,
Better
right?
th- They also can get into a house and realize that what they thought that they wanted with their needs are vastly different now that they've been looking at houses and their needs change to something else.
Right. Other reasons we should revisit that.
I think sometimes they become more realistic after they've
Mhm.
looked for a while.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So go through those questions at your initial consult. Like that's how you get a good job of what they have currently in a home and they're looking for in a new home, or what they have and what they want, what's desirable, what they don't have and they really want to have, and then what they need. Right? And then, like you said, life happens, things change, interest rates go down. They can now afford more home. We find out we're pregnant. We need a fourth bedroom. We lost our job. We're not able to close in a home in the next 30 days, but we have a prospect, so we need to lengthen out our search criteria, our time that we're using to search. Family member dies. We're going to be at a funeral for a whole week. We're going to be planning. We're going to be revisit that needs analysis often. The answers we brainstorm fall into two basic categories: the buyer's life change or the world around your buyer's change. In either case, the buyer's needs can change. Whether a change in their lives or change in the world around them, you need to revisit the needs analysis during the transaction. This can also be part of your weekly calls. This is a good reason to call your client, right? Just refreshing on these things. Revisiting the needs analysis can also help you find out why homes that should be perfect for your buyer are not inspiring offers.
That's a good question.
I'm showing you the perfect house. Oh my gosh, I'm showing them exactly what they asked me for. Why aren't we getting offers? Believe it or not, sometimes what we think we desire, you said this earlier, is not what we need. They become more realistic. If you're showing them all historic houses and you thought they would be thrilled to see, and you're just getting tepid responses and they're not writing offers, it's time to find out why. It's also common for buyers to get frustrated in a tight market and start looking outside of their criteria. For those of you that have worked with buyers, I mean, how many times have you set a criteria and you're looking at this and all of a sudden they're bringing you homes outside of their price range, well above what they're qualified for? All of a sudden they're not locked into one neighborhood. They're looking at several neighborhoods, or they're in a different city completely than where they told you they needed to be, right? Maybe you have empty nesters looking to downsize who suddenly start looking closer to their current square footage. So it's time to find out, are they realizing that their earlier number was too small? You've taken them into a few houses. Oh, we want 1,200 square feet. Now we're looking at 1,200 square feet and they're going, whoa, 1,200 is not enough room. We accumulated some stuff. Or are they just getting frustrated and not finding what they need? This is also a great tool to use when buyers start looking above their price point. Revisit their needs and their criteria. Remind them that you are their fiduciary, not just the person who opens doors. Remind them of all those things that the fiduciary does. A thorough and frequently revisited and revised needs analysis is your greatest resource in having tough conversations. We talked about those tough conversations a little bit. Conversations about what they can afford, the realities of the market, timelines, and move-in ready versus fixer-uppers are strengthened by referencing the needs analysis. What are some other conversations you need to have with a client along the way?
That's a good question.
How about things like, don't go buy a new car,
Yes.
right? Don't buy things. What about
Don't get a credit card.
don't open a credit card? Exactly. Keep in contact with your lender and send them monthly bank statements on time every month. Like, that's important. That will stall you out. What about don't quit a job? Don't. You hate it there. You've been there for 6 years and all of a sudden you hate it more than ever. Don't quit.
Don't go buy
Don't-
new furniture for your house.
Right? Oh my gosh, he's engaged and we're ready to elope to Vegas. Don't get married. Wait till after you've closed escrow. Well, if we skip this payment on the car, we have more money for incidentals. We need money for a home inspector or a
It's a bad idea.
pay your bills on time.
Oh, man.
Don't change your debt to credit income ratio. Another tough conversation. What if they find a for sale by owner?
Buyer's commissions.
Have you talked to them about that? What if they find something that you're not sending them? Right? These are important conversations. What should they do if they get outside advice? Well, I work with a girl who just bought a house. And she says you should be sending me these reports, or you should be sending this to me. What
How
should they
about if
do
it's
they're-
AI?
What should they do if they're getting outside advice? Have you created a place of trust and safety so they can come and tell you, hey, I do work with a lady and she told me that her experience was she used to get all these things from her agent. Why am I not getting them from you? Or does your client feel like they can't have that conversation with you? And now they're just over here going, my agent's not working for me because they're not doing what this person's agent did. Right? Have that conversation with. What should they do? Coach them. Coach them. People are going to give you advice. Your dad's going to come to the home inspection. We've all seen the memes, right? Coach them. When this happens, text me. This is going, when this comes up, I'm your fiduciary. We can have this conversation, this place of trust and safety. I'm your fiduciary. How do you make sure to tell your client all of these things? We talked about proximity earlier. So if I tell you all of this at the first time we sit down and we're signing the buyer rep agreement and I'm telling you this is how we're going to communicate, this is how we're going to talk, and it goes until I'm sitting at lunch one day and I'm going, I'm finding my listings on Zillow and my agent doesn't send me anything. How do we tell our client all of these things? What are things we can do for our client?
Can we give them a printout of our plan?
Bingo. Put it in a checklist. and update the client. We're at this point in the checklist, right? We could have a checklist for different times. So maybe you have a 10, 20, 30-day plan, right? You could have a checklist for a different process. This is the process of looking for a home, checklist. These are the things for looking for a home. This is what happens when we go into an offer process. This is what happens when we have an accepted offer. This is what happens when we have a counter offer, right? So different process could be sorting through properties, showings. This is the showing process, offer and counter offer process, inspections, appraisals, all the way to post closing. This is what's going to happen after you go sit at the title company and sign your documents. It's how I'm going to deliver keys to you. This is how you're going to transfer the utilities in your name. You need to do this because 3 days later, if you don't have those utilities in your name, you're not going to have electricity and I'm going to get a nasty phone call. But you can't tell them at the beginning of the deal because that's not going to resonate, right? Some people create like a buyer handbook with these steps in it. The showings, the offerings, the inspections, the appraisal, the closing, the post-closing. Here's how you contact all the utility companies. Here's their names. Here's their phone numbers. These are the people that serve your area for internet. All right. Now that we've talked about how we can use a needs analysis to help our buyers stay on track and discuss some conversations we need to have with them, let's talk specifically about showing homes. Showing homes is a process like everything else. First, you need to find the home that fits your client's needs. You'll find MLS classes to help you do this through your local MLS. You'll also need to make sure that your buyer is set up on your KW app and show them how to search for homes and follow the process, the buying process with your guides. If you have them search for homes through your apps, you will get regular updates when they like something and favorite something. It's better than Zillow because you're getting those pings, right?
Kaylee, on that app, is that a little bit better than like Flex? Because personal note, we could talk about this later one-on-one, is my Flex, when I try to set somebody up on a portal, they're not necessarily receiving it. So with that, can I set the parameters within command of what they want and then
Yep.
okay.
We
We'll
call
have to
that
have a
neighborhoods.
conversation about that.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question? Because I have a client who does a realtor, and then she added me so that I can see what she likes and dislikes.
That's a good way to go about it too. Here's the thing, right? Some people like Samsung devices, some people like Apple devices, right? Some people are going to love your app, some people are going to love Realtor, some people are going to love Zillow. You got to kind of meet some people have texting, some people have phone calls, right? You got to kind of meet your client where they're at, right? But offer them what works best for you and what communicates best for you. I love that she added you so that you're seeing what she's liking. It's a great idea. Showing homes is a process. It's really something that you need to refine and you need to teach your buyers, right? You need to refine your process and stick to it. Just like calling and texting a client between certain hours, you need to show up for showings a certain way every time, right? Consistency. In choosing homes, you'll show to your clients based on the needs analysis and setting the expectation. As we mentioned, in an extreme seller's market, you should not show homes at the top of your client's price point. You shouldn't show homes that your client would need closing cost assistance for. In a buyer's market, you're going to want to, a lot of people think we're going into a buyer's market. We are not. We're going into a balanced market. So you need to explain to your buyers the difference between a seller's market and a balanced market. They do not have the upper hand yet. They may think they do. They may think if it's not a seller's market, it's a buyer's market. So now I have the upper hand. They do not. And so you need to communicate that with them.
Can I
Once,
ask what the difference is?
absolutely. So a seller's market is less than 5 months of inventory. If every house that's on the market today sold, it would take less than 5 months to sell everything that's for sale today. That's a seller's market. If it's more than 6 months, and actually 7 in some areas, that's a buyer's market, right? There's more inventory. Buyers can negotiate more. They can ask sellers for more things, right? Because there's more houses on the market. There's more apples to pick from, right, at the grocery store. So I can look for the best apple for the best price. That makes it a buyer's market. Fewer apples on the market, fewer homes on the market. Now you, the buyer, are restricted to how many things you can choose from, and I don't have to give you a bunch of things to choose mine. Balanced
okay.
market is where we're headed right now, where home prices are inching down a little bit. Interest rates have now become steady, and buyers are now like, this is what the interest rate is. I'm not freaked out anymore. It's high 6s, it's low 7s. It's a balanced market. There's enough inventory. There's between 5 and 7 months of inventory. So there's more homes to look at, but there's also more buyers in the market. So your negotiation is kind of it's a balancing act, and that's fun for you as an agent, because you get to watch what are sellers offering as concessions. What can buyers ask for? What should we steer away from asking for? Should we ask for closing costs, or should we ask for repairs? Like what is going to get us the most bang for our buck? Once your MLS search comes back with suitable homes, you're going to want to preview those homes to make sure that you know what choices are going to be best for your buyer. And your buyer's going to call you and go, hey, I saw this great house on Zillow. I want to go see it right now. And if you don't know what that home consists of, what do you say? Oh my gosh, I'll show it to you. And then you're going to get out there and it's going to be like, oh my gosh. Why are we looking at this house? Not even in the neighborhood you asked me for.
Are you saying preview in the flesh, or just preview on digitally?
Great question. Yes and yes. Yes and yes. I was just getting there. I call this pre-screening. The best agents know what their buyers are looking for, the price point, the location, and they know the inventory in those areas, right? So if I'm working with 3 buyers, and I've got a buyer that's looking for $500,000 in Jacksonville, and a buyer that's looking for $450,000 in East Medford, and a buyer who's looking for 1.2 on Rogue River, I'm going to know the inventory in those places, in those price ranges. And I'm going to go preemptively look at those properties in person, especially if it's a rural property. And I need to know property lines, and I need to know accessibility, and I need to know where the utilities are. Like if it's a 3-2 in a subdivision, I might not need to go look at that one, right? Because the boundaries are clearly defined by fences, but I might want to drive through a neighborhood if I don't know that neighborhood intimately. So I know what's happening in that neighborhood. Is this going to be a neighborhood that I've shown my buyers property? I know what they don't do and don't like about their neighbors, right? They're in their 60s and 70s, and they don't particularly want a neighborhood full of 5th graders riding scooters at 30 miles an hour up and down the street, right? So screen properties, know the inventory for the buyers that you're working for in that moment, right? You add another buyer, they have a different criteria, start adding that to your inventory to know. The top agents know the available inventory so that when their client calls and goes, hey, this listing just showed up on my property search, you can go, oh my gosh, I was just inside that property. It's got a great family room. You're going to love the size of the bedrooms. They know the inventory. I personally like to, because I generally sold homes in city limits, in subdivisions. I like to preview the photos and the videos on MLS. I would set myself up with a 24-hour hot sheet of the criteria that my clients were looking for. So when I logged into the MLS in the morning, boom, 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 East Medford, $400,000 to $500,000. I just click on that and I'd see anything that was new in the market 24 hours. I'd go to that listing and I'd look at the pictures, the walkthroughs, the floor plans, and review the showing instructions, review the agent's private remarks. I would know what that agent needed for me to show that property. I would know how much notice. I would know who my contact was. I would know if it had hardwood floors or carpeting in the bathroom, and whether my client liked hardwood floors or carpeting in the bathroom. So that when my client called me and went, oh my gosh, I love this house, and I'd say, is carpeting in the bathroom going to be a big deal for you? Because this one has carpeting. Oh, no, we're fine. We're fine. We'll go buy the LPT and put it down ourselves. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so know the inventory, know what your client's needs so that you know what to be watching in the inventory, because you don't need to be watching everything. You just need to be watching what your clients are watching. Call and ask the agent for information that's not available on the MLS. Only. Make sure you read the MLS closely for showing instructions, for when you can start showing property, for when they're starting to look at offers, for when you can't do showings. Who is the phone to show? Are there additional documents on there? Are the disclosures already uploaded to MLS? Can you print those out and review them first? Make sure you screen that property first. And then ask your buyers to check out the neighborhood before going out to look at the property. Have you driven through that neighborhood? And I like to do those things in unison. When my client calls me and says, oh my gosh, you sent me the perfect house, or I saw the perfect house on Zillow, I'm like, great. Have you driven through the neighborhood? No. Could you do that today on your way home? While they're doing that, I'm pulling up the listing on MLS and I'm checking all the boxes. I'm looking at all the criteria. I'm looking at the pictures. I'm making phone calls to the listing agent to say, hey, our Saturday morning, I know my people only can see properties Saturday mornings. Is Saturday mornings difficult for your buyer? You say phone to show, but just want to know, like, my people like to be there as soon as I can open the lockbox at 8 o'clock in the morning. Like, is that a problem? Be the expert of your market. This is how you show up for your client, right? This is how you show up as the expert. Showing homes best practices. Only show the best properties to your buyers. Why? How many of you want to show 30 houses to one buyer? Your buyer expects this to be HGTV. They want to go look at 3 and write an offer on 1.
Exactly.
They don't want to see 30 properties either. They really don't. And if you are not showing them the best fit for them, you're doing both of you a disservice. Have the MLS listing with the pricing information and key details, including disclosures if they're available. Have those. Know those. Mark properties on a map and answer location problems. Is this on the river? Right? I know it's out in Gold Hill, but is it on the river? It's got a White City address, but is it on the river? There's some beautiful homes in White City that are on the river. My local people down here will understand that. Be knowledgeable about the property in the neighborhood. right? That's where that, like, knowing what your client's needs are and then checking the MLS every day, you know the inventory. Include recent comparable sales. Be ready to answer pricing questions, right? Can I offer 10,000 below asking on this property that just hit the market? Comparables in this area show homes sit on the market for 45 days. We've been looking and we're actually jumping on this. Like, we might have a little negotiation. Point out potential issues and concerns on each house. That's part of being a tough negotiator. A lot of agents wait for the home inspection to say things like, you're buying FHA and this banister has raw wood on it. We need to make sure that the paint's not peeling and chipping. Not a reason not to write an offer, but something we need to communicate with our buyer. They need to know this when you know it. The front door key lock sticks. Why should I tell my buyer that? You're gonna make them wait till they close escrow on the house and try to use that key for the first time? Like, no, don't. Show only the best properties, have the MLS printouts. Previewing homes, when you go and do it in person, then when you're walking up those front steps and you're going to open the door, you're already gonna know that door sticks. Right? Sometimes MLS pictures are not exactly like the home looks like. If they don't include a floor plan, sometimes those pictures can be misleading about the layout of the house, even. Okay, the value of previewing a home is, one, you'll know the inventory. And two, it keeps you from showing the process of slowing down the process of homes if you've seen them before the buyer, right?
Yes.
Once you're ready to show homes to buyers, always read the listing agent remarks. We've talked about that. Be sure you're scheduling according to the listing agent's instructions. We've talked about that. Call the listing agent to schedule an appointment if it's a phone to show. When the listing instructions say they would like to use, they would like you to use a scheduling service, use a scheduling service. You always want to start the agent to agent relationship on the right foot and be respectful. Your relationship with this agent is not another agent's relationship with that agent. I know agents like to say, oh, I worked with that agent and I had a terrible experience. Or I worked with that agent and they were great. And then you have a terrible experience. Every agent needs to build their own relationship with co-op agents. You always want to start off on the right foot, and you always want to start off as the expert. So make sure you read what the agent puts on the MLS in its entirety. It'll set you up as an expert and as a professional in this business. Trying to schedule for tomorrow when the instructions say the first showing isn't for 2 days, not gonna pan out well for you. This doesn't mean you can't contact the agent and ask questions that are not answered on the listing. Absolutely, you can clarify. And I always state that, like, hey, I reviewed the listing on the MLS. Clarifying question, is this connected to city sewer? Because I sold homes in that neighborhood and the homes I've sold were all on a septic. Is this one different? It's okay to get clarity. How you make contact matters for how they will see you throughout the transaction. They will either see you as a professional and bright and an expert, or they will see you as clumsy and foolish and not well informed. And if you write an offer and they see you as the latter, they're going to think they have the upper hand. You want to always show up as the professional in the transaction. If your system enables feedback, leave it. After you have a showing, if the agent says, we want feedback, leave it. Give them feedback. I see a lot of agents right now going, oh, we're not going to give them any feedback. Do. But I say this, let it be vaguely helpful. What do I mean by that? I have a showing. We walk through the house. The buyers don't like it. The bedrooms are too small. It reeks of pet odor, and the backyard is dying. The landscaping is just dying. They're not taking care of the landscaping. Is that the way I'm going to tell the listing agent? No,
No,
because that's not helpful. That's not helpful. What you're going to say, you want to be diplomatic. So you're going to say things like, for my buyer, the bedroom sizes were too small. There was an apparent odor in the house. Do your clients have pets? Does the backyard have a irrigation system? It didn't seem to be on. My buyers were concerned about the landscaping. See how I allowed for the listing agent to correct and repair those deficiencies in the listing that I might be able to take back to my buyer? Oh my gosh, their irrigation system went out last week and they've got a repair person to come out. That grass is going to be green before we close escrow. Oh, they do have a cat and it was ill last week. We're going to have carpet shampooed next week. Can't do anything about bedroom sizes, right? They're too small for your client. They're too small for your client. But see how asking and giving feedback does two things. One, it helps the agent. And you're going to be the seller's agent sometime soon too. So helping that, getting that vaguely helpful feedback is great because you're going to be able to have that conversation with the client. And then just knowing that that wasn't the property for your buyers, for your buyers is going to help that listing agent go back to the seller and say, you know, they just needed bigger bedrooms. Maybe we have to adjust the price because we're getting a ton of showings and the bedrooms we just keep getting feedback that bedrooms are small. If scheduling in advance, make sure you confirm the appointment with your buyers and with the listing agent the morning of. Things happen overnight. Kids get sick. We get an accepted offer on the property from when you scheduled it to when you're showing it. Confirm, 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 confirm. Home tour toolkit. What do you pack with you to go show homes? I keep this in my car to this very day. These are the things, these are the top things in my toolkit. Paperwork, the MLS brief. I have it on my phone, but my phone could die. I could be out of service. I always have the paperwork with me, just in case. Just in case. The next thing I like to have with me is a flashlight. Sometimes there's a crawl space that's in the garage and you wonder, like, is that extra storage or is that just the dark, nasty hole, right? Keep a flashlight with you. A pair of socks. I'm a lady. I like to wear my pumps, but I bring a pair of socks with me so I can walk in the house in my stocking feet. Tape measure and a level and a pair of scissors or a straight edge. You never know when those things are going to come in handy. Always bring a pen and a notepad. And I always have wet wipes and toilet paper and paper towels with me. Always, always, always. What are some other things you might have in your toolkit? Anyone?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What are some things you might take with you on when you're showing homes?
Beverages.
Beverages, love it. Especially in Southern Oregon right now, it's hot. It's hot. What else?
Flashlight, scissors, straight edge, notepad.
What if you go show a home that the water's turned off and you've got a 4-year-old that has to use the potty? What about a jug of water, or a large container of water, right?
So you need TP too.
TP2. Or
What
some
do you
other
put
things.
for what do you put for entertainment for kids?
Entertainment for kids, coloring books and color crayons. You know, you can go buy these little things that are like little yarn threaders that are like a shoelace on one end, and they just kind of thread the yarn through a maze, dot to dots. Most kids these days come equipped, right? They've got their tablets, but I would always have something just in case you're out of cell service or they don't have access to something like that. Band-Aids is not on this list. I always bring Band-Aids.
Good idea.
Because I do rural properties, I bring different pairs of shoes. So if I'm out looking at a barn, I bring my cowboy boots. If it's rainy, I bring my water boots. If I think I'm going to be going for a little bit of a hike, I bring my hiking shoes.
Yep. I love it. All good things. You can never be too prepared.
Probably needs Neosporin too for kids.
Poopery, breath mints,
Essential oils.
right? Have you ever shown a really, really, really smelly house?
I showed one with cat species on the rug.
So, pro tip, your essential oils or your favorite perfume, just a little spray of that right here, and smell that after the showing. It will help cleanse your olfactories, and you will not be smelling that all the way home.
So they
How do you tell
actually,
an agent if there's like feces in the carpet with politically correct?
The
There's
great way to
feces in the
say that
carpet.
is I don't know if you knew this, and you know, accidents happen, but when we got to the showing, there was that their animal had an accident on the carpet.
Okay.
And here's the thing. I had a listing with a young lady. She was amazing. She was a phenomenal human being. And when I went on the listing appointment, there was a whole room where she just let her dog defecate. A whole room. And I said, we need to get that cleaned up and shampooed before we go on the market. Yep, can do, will do. Took pictures, sent it to me. It's all done. I had a open house the following Sunday. Yeah, that room was clean, but there was another room that had taken its place. You got to be prepared for everything in this, and you have to be prepared to have the hard conversations with your clients. The other thing is this right here. Safety first when showing homes. Don't forget safety. Remember the tips from open houses. Always be aware of your surroundings and only meet clients that you've already vetted. I like to recommend to my agents, we've got a beautiful office. Bring them into the office to do your needs analysis or your first meeting with the client, and just tell them, hey, it's protocol to get a copy of your license and your license plate number. And then just leave it with the front desk girl. Before you head out on showings, first time meeting, whatever, I don't care when you do that. Another thing I used to like to do as an agent is I would print out all of the listings I was going to be on, and I would tell my office manager, this is where I'm going to be today from 10 to 2. Here's all the listings. I'm going to go see. Here's a copy of all my listing printouts.
That's a good idea.
Just in case anything happened. And my husband called them, and my husband was like, well, my wife went out to show properties today, but she hasn't been home. It's 8 o'clock at night. Now we have safety protocols, and we'll go through some of those, but this is what I want you to remember. Always be aware of your surroundings. Meet clients that are already vetted. Do not go to a vacant house with an unknown buyer alone. Do the buddy system. Follow your instincts. If at any point you do not feel safe for any reason, end the showing. Always announce yourself, even when going into vacant homes. Knock, knock, realtor. I've gone into showings and there have been kids or people in the home that were supposed to be vacant. Warn your clients that many homes have cameras and even audio recording equipment. Keep comments about the home out of range of the home itself. The driveway is not good enough. Either cross the street or talk to them from another location. Park your car on the street. Don't go into bathrooms with your clients. Do not go into garages alone. Do not go into sheds alone with your clients. They can see the shed without you. They can see the garage without you. They don't need, bathrooms are tiny. You don't need to be in bathrooms or in the corners of bedrooms with, you can say, I'll wait in the living room. Go ahead and go see the bedrooms and bathrooms. It's the listing agent's job to make sure that medicine's secure, guns are secure. Like, let your client have the room to investigate. Keep yourself safe. These are some of the safety precautions I take. I always park on the street. I always park facing the inlet of the neighborhood. So if I need to get in my car and drive out, I just drive straight out. I don't have to back out of anything. I don't have to drive around anything. And again, I don't go into bedrooms or garages with my clients. I just don't. There's no reason to go. If they have a question about something in the garage, they'll come into the house and ask me. Reminder to you and to your clients, not only are there cameras and audio recording devices, we never touch, never, ever, ever, ever touch or move personal items. They have a carpet on the floor and they want to see under the carpet. That's your due diligence period. There's a jacket on a chair. You want to move a chair and sit down at the dining room table and have a conversation. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I want to see what's behind this box in the, don't touch or move personal items. They're not yours. You don't touch them. At Keller Williams, if you find yourself in an unsafe experience, you can call the front desk and ask for the orange file that you left on your desk. Oh my gosh. Kiri, I am at the showing over here on Brookdale Avenue and I left the orange file on my desk. Yeah, 5678 Brookdale Avenue. I'm here with my buyer and I just needed some information out of that file. I will ask certain questions. Are you alone? Are you safe? Do they have a weapon? Are you fearful? Should I call? I'm calling the police now. I'm going to give you yes or no things so you don't have to have a conversation with you if you are in a situation where you are in danger. Keep my number for my local folks. Keep my number saved. You can call or text me. There's also safety features on most phones now. You can hit the power button a few times. It'll call 911. We just want you to be safe out there, but we also want your clients to be safe. And we don't want to share or give up our ability to negotiate by having conversations in front of cameras. Remember, your job is to sell a home, not just show homes. You don't get paid by the door. You don't. I'm sorry. Pay attention to your client's body language. Cues to avoid to continue showing homes that they don't like. and even to watch for homes that they do like. If your client hangs out in the kitchen for a long period of time, that's a cue that they like the home. The client taps the kitchen counter, leans on the counter, taps on the counter. That's a sign, that's body language that they like the home. When the client starts seeing themselves in the home, your grandma's hutch will fit in right over there on that wall. This would make a great place for the dog kennel. Do you think we could put our patio furniture on this? Cues that your client can see likes the home when they can start seeing themselves in there. When they start placing personal items in their mind. When they say things like, the Christmas tree will look so lovely in that corner, right under those stairs. Oh my gosh, your clock is going to fit on that wall. Look for these clues. Watch the body language. I'm an arm crosser. Arm crossing does not automatically mean they don't like the home, guys. Sometimes arm crossing means I'm really thinking about, I'm really digging this. To learn your client's body language, that's why meeting with people really matters. Why watching them through the house really matters. Nodding, body language, that they're in agreement. If you show your buyer the first 2 homes on your list and they hate them, you can pretty much be sure they're going to hate the third. Cancel your last showing. You didn't do a good needs analysis. You haven't vetted them. Go back, use that time to dig deeper into their preferences because you missed something during their needs analysis. With each showing, you should be getting closer to putting in an offer. Consider this property elimination question. You've shown 2 houses to your client. You ask your client, if you had to choose between property A and property B, which one would it be? They say property B. You say, okay, great. We can cross property A off the list. Now we're just comparing B to everything else, right? Then once we get B and C, which one do you prefer between B and C? Still B, maybe C, right? In your expectation setting prior to showing them homes, you'll need the buyers to know that they are unlikely to find the perfect house. We are getting up close to our wrap-up time. We're going to go a little bit over, guys, but we're going to blast through this. Make sure that they know that they're not going to get 100% of what they're asking for when they find the home, right? If you're looking for a house that meets their needs, you're looking for a house that meets their needs, not their every desire. We talked about their haves, what they have that they like in their home, what they want in a home, and what they need in their home. It's like looking for a partner or spouse. If you're waiting for someone that's perfect, you're going to stay single. If you found the person that was 80% perfect, you'd be lucky. Same goes for houses. These are those tough conversations. Your job is to help buyers make the best decision for them. Buying a home is a big deal, and buyers can experience hesitation and reluctance. These are some of the reasons. 1, they're afraid to commit. Something better might come along. Revisit their needs, revisit their why, revisit their needs. They don't like some minor detail of the home. The bathroom's purple. Oh my gosh, that bathroom is so purple. But everything else is 100. How much does 2 gallons of paint cost? What are you willing to do? Would you go buy 2 gallons of paint? I would. They feel they haven't seen enough homes. Again, that's the same as they're afraid to commit. They need to sleep on it or get the opinion of a trusted advisor. You did not ask if all of the decision makers were going to be at that showing. Always bring the decision maker to the showings. If you can't get them to that showing, wait. The decision makers need to be at the showing. Help your buyers make decisions with the following. Always go back to their motivation, right? Always go back to their why. Why are they making this move? Go back to their needs. Advise them and consult them as a fiduciary. Don't let your bank account make decisions for you. You are making decisions based on their best interest. Allay their fears, you know, discuss their fears. Is this too much house for them? It's a house payment. Or are they concerned about that? Do we need to go back and talk to the lender? Can we talk about getting concessions? Can we talk about a 3-1 buy down? Can we talk about things to help the buyer get into contract? How do we solve for their challenges? And then calculate the cost of waiting, right? We don't make a move on this house and we look at more properties. What are the chances of that house being available when we decide that those houses are not what you wanted? Can I make an offer on a house and continue to look for other properties? Is that a thing? It is. It's a thing. You have to be a good agent to negotiate that and a good agent to navigate that. All right, guys, you did great. We are going to wrap this up. What do sellers want from an agent? I was surprised by this. Sellers want help pricing their home competitively, but that's not number one up there. Number one is the other column. Sellers want help marketing their home. Wow, I thought marketing would be number one. Surprised by that, right? Sellers want help selling their home within a specific time frame. Well, we're always taught to ask the seller what their time frames are. And isn't that interesting? Sellers want help finding ways to fix up their home to sell it for more. Again, surprising. I thought the order of this would be a little different, especially in the market that I see, and in things that agents tell me on social media is important. Might want to start watching how we market to sellers. If what's important to them is not what's important to us, we might not be doing them good service. We might not be doing our fiduciary responsibility to them. Okay, so what's in the other column? 12% of that other column is find a buyer for a home. But what? I'm just a listing agent. Sellers expect you to find the buyer. Did you know that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What expectations conversation is not being had, right? Help with negotiations and dealing with buyers. What expectation is not being had? When you work with sellers, is it your job to deal with the buyers? Yes. Help with paperwork, inspections, and preparing for the settlement. Do you know how to read and tell the story of a final settlement statement and a seller's net sheet? These are new words if you're a new agent, right? These are like, I don't even know what those are. Right? It's okay. Safe place. I didn't either my first 3 years. It took me year number 4 before I did a seller's net sheet and really understood what that meant. Always do the needs analysis. Always do the needs analysis. Set the expectation. Have a contingency plan. Know what the seller's process is. Share that with the seller frequently and often. Sellers are tough. Sellers have a higher expectation of you than your buyers. We just went through everything a buyer expects from you. Sellers are tough. Why hasn't my house sold? I haven't seen it marketed. And then you're going back going, hey, the market's speaking. We got to lower the price. What have you done? What have you done? What have you done? What have you? Sellers are tough, right? So start in the same place with sellers that you do with buyers. Know what their needs are. For sellers, we need to know price, time frame, and conveyances. We need to know what you can get them. They need to know that you can get them great offers from able, ready, and willing buyers. Right? Are you doing your job to get in front of able, willing, and ready buyers? Just like with buyers, when things aren't going as you think they should, you need to revisit the needs analysis. Just like with buyers, either the seller's life has changed or the seller's world has changed. For example, the seller could lose their job. Perhaps the seller finds their dream home and needs to remove any contingencies ASAP so they can move forward on their purchase. Perhaps the local economy shifts, putting fewer buyers or more buyers into the market. Stay in touch, over communicate, and know when you need to change the game plan. Weekly updates. Weekly updates, including the no update, nothing's changed, including this is your market update, including this is a new step in the process, including this is the what have I done for you lately. These are conversations we need to be having regularly with our sellers. Call the seller before the seller has to call you. Call the seller before the seller has to call you. Always, always, always. What do sellers control? Sellers control two things. Sellers only control two things. Boy, I thought the seller had the upper hand. Sellers only control two things. Sellers control the price and the condition. I don't have to sell a house for $10,000 less than listing. I don't. I may not sell a house, but I don't have to sell a house for $10,000 less than listing. Your job is to know the market and advise them on how to get the best price with the least work in the quickest time frame. Therefore, you need to know the market and you need to know how they can best prep the house. Again, preview homes, know the competition, know the days of market in each area, right? Know the days of market in that listing neighborhood. Know what's selling. Are two-bedroom home, are two-story homes selling, or one-story homes selling? Are homes with RV parking selling? Are homes with in-ground swimming pools selling? Know the market in the inventory. What features do clients like? Does this home have it? Can it get it? Can this home get it? Right? White kitchen cabinets, but it's got yellow oak cabinets. Can this kitchen have white cabinets? Absolutely. Is the seller willing to do that? Maybe, maybe not. Will it make the house sell faster? Absolutely. Should this be a tough conversation we're having with the seller? Absolutely. Highest price, quickest amount of time. If the property can't get it, in-ground swimming pools are all the rage, but this house does not have one and it's not getting one anytime soon. Do we need to adjust the list price? Right? Think about that. Can the seller make small condition improvements before going on the market? If you know the inventory, if you know the competition, and you know what homes are selling, and you're walking into that listing and this home doesn't have what you know is going to make this house sell faster, can the seller make a small improvement before going on the market to get more eyes on the listing? It's your job as a listing agent to help them discover price and condition. Getting homes ready for the highest price and the least amount of work in the best time can involve sensitive conversations. Hardly anyone keeps their house ready to show all the time. Guarantee you, if you go to my house right now, there's Legos on the floor, there's cheese wrappers on the counter, and there might even be a melted popsicle somewhere. Guaranteed, not show ready. And it's more of a challenge for some sellers than others. My seller who had the puppy, this challenge for her to keep that house show ready. What are some issues that come up with sellers and the condition of their home that you might have to deal with delicately? What are some conversations you might have to have with sellers about showings, about being ready?
Putting away some of their personal belongings so the buyers can go in and see that where their stuff could fit.
1000%. That's a great one. What else?
Making sure pets are contained.
I think you hit the two biggest ones, right? Right. Odors from pets, pet toys, kids' toys, things. Smoking, right? Or unclean conditions, sinks full of dishes. Deferred maintenance. Personal decor. I had a client who had all the heads of all the animals on their walls.
Ooh, gross.
And that's some people looked right past it, but there was a handful of people that would not have shown well to, would not have got. As a matter of fact, I had buyers call me and go, my buyers do not want a perfect house for them. Buyers won't go in the house because you got dead things on the wall. A seller that wants to be there cannot leave for showings. Will not leave for showings. Like, that's a thing. That might be a delicate conversation you have to have. Illegal activities, self-explanatory. Self-explanatory. Guns in the house, very common in Southern Oregon. Guns, gun safes, guns everywhere. Cash, jewelry. Here's the conversations real quickly. What are some things you can do about odors? Odor ban, fresh carpet, clean, new paint. Did you know spraying Windex through a home as you leave it before a showing happens gives the illusion that you've freshly cleaned the house without the overpowering scent of cleaners or fragrance scentsies or oils. Quick blast of Windex. Gives the illusion of a clean house. Cluttered conditions. I always like to tell my sellers, box up like you're moving because you are. Box it up and put it in the garage. Box it up like you're moving because you are. The more you box up, the faster you move. Manifest. Deferred maintenance. Some of that could be a loan liability, right? We're preparing to get this house in front of as many buyers as we can. If this house has deferred maintenance, we might be excluding VA. We might be excluding FHA buyers. We want the most amount of eyes on this house. We want this house in as loan ready of a condition as possible. We must apply these standards as we discussed in the beginning of the session. Keep these in front of you as far as, and I'll make sure you get the handbook with all the things. I'm really sorry you guys didn't have it today. Great client communication provides a strong foundation for sustainable relationships. It sets and manages expectations proactively throughout the transaction. It makes you the expert. It creates peace of mind for your clients. Again, it enhances your credibility. Fair housing. Unfortunately, there's another powerful conversation you may be forced to have with your seller. You may have to inform your client that they are violating fair housing if they refuse to stop their course of action. You'll have to withdraw their listing and cancel the listing agreement. According to NAR, if you have a client who is violating fair housing laws, you should follow these best practices. Remind the client of their obligations, discontinue representation of the client, report an incident to your broker, and fully document the situation. You may also need to consult an attorney. Guys, I need 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Hey, I'm just wrapping up a class. Thank you. Had a client walk in. My 4 o'clock is here. All right. We are going to fair housing. You understand that. There's the Y4C2Ts again. We talked about these at the top of the class. There's absolutely no commission is worth your integrity or your reputation. Again, do not let your need for money outweigh your integrity. Don't make bad choices based on your need for money. Don't let your bank account make decisions for you. We've all been in that place. 35 years in this industry, we've all been sitting at a crucial moment where money was tight and a decision needed to be made, and it was questionable, and we had to make the right choice. Don't let your bank account make decisions for you. That's where we see great agents fail. There's an email that comes out monthly that shows reported violations. This email shows us agents that get in trouble with their clients, that are reported, that go through arbitration, mediation, maybe litigation, and what their consequences are for that. Our principal brokers send out an email every Thursday. I highly recommend you look at that email every Thursday. because it is the challenges that our agents are facing in their business, in our network. And it also comes from those emails of what practices agents are having that are causing them to get into problems with other agents and their clients. So read those compliance tips to avoid any trip ups. This is in the book, and I'm going to make sure you have a copy of this. The 14-step marketing plan to capitalize your listings. We did focus on relationships and communications with the seller. We've also covered the seller's needs and so that sellers are looking for agents to market their home. We're going to talk a little bit about how you are going to market their listing and your brand. Highly productive agents market both their brand and their listing. This is not a marketing class. We're going to go through this very quickly, but we're going to help you with the marketing opportunity by providing listings and why they are one of the 3 pillars of a successful real estate agent. Leads, listings, and leverage. When you focus on listings, buyers will come. There's no sell unless there's a buyer, right? You can't just list a house and get a commission. Doesn't work. When you focus on listings, buyers will come. We've already talked about how you can do this in our sessions previously in the lead gen sessions, particularly around open houses. The MREA has a 14-point marketing plan for you. The 14-step marketing plan is actually in the workbook. And again, I will get this to you. It's not in my slideshow. Let me. Zip down to it really quick. Can you see that with the triangle? All right. The 14-step marketing plan. Price your home competitively with the current market and price trends. Advise you on how to attract buyers by showing your home in the best possible light. This is something you're going to create for your seller. Respond to all buyer inquiries immediately. Place signage on the property and flyers and it's easily accessible to buyers and sellers or to buyers and neighbors. Respond to all buyer inquiries immediately. Optimize your home's internet presence by positioning the property on Keller Williams websites, in your local MLS, on social media, with plenty of photographs and description of your property. Market your home. Post your home on my proprietary app, which is your Keller Williams app. You'll create flyers and comment cards for viewers of the property. You'll distribute just listed notices throughout the neighborhood, encouraging them to tell family and friends about your home. You'll target market to active real estate agents who specialize in selling homes in that neighborhood. You can find those agents, you can target them. You'll include the home in your company's MLS tours, broker open houses. You'll target active buyers and investors in your database. And you'll provide the seller with weekly updates detailing the market efforts, including comments from the prospective buyers and agents who have visited the home. And I will share that with you to help build out your seller 14-step marketing plan. If you stick to those items and then build an ABC into some of those areas, you will have a beautiful listing presentation and listing marketing plan. The message you put out to attract prospective buyers and sellers is everything. Why would they want to contact you in this market? What would they get if they did? These two questions are at the heart of all effective messaging. These two questions, let's go back to the beginning conversation, as part of your testimonials or referrals and reviews, should be what your clients are sharing about you and what you should be sharing about yourself. It's your value proposition. Why would a client want to contact you in this market? And what would they get if they did? Not only should you be strategic about how you market a home and yourself, much of which was covered in the lead generation section of Ignite, and you haven't done lead generation, we'll get to that as we circle around and start the next Ignite. You also have Connect live sessions through Command. You can go to the Connect tab and you can watch live sessions. You can also get recordings from Mara on previous classes. You should set your listing up for success by having all necessary documents for your MLS and that you're giving to potential buyers and their agents in the best light to view the home. Make sure you put a floor plan on MLS if the home warrants a floor plan. Make sure you include information about well flow or improvements done on the house. Make sure you have all of the right documents on your MLS. Utilize the right professionals to get pictures and floor plans. Make sure you put your pictures on the MLS in an order that makes sense, right? Don't confuse the buyer as they're clicking through pictures from A to Z. When you put your listings on the MLS, start with the most beautiful feature of the home. Doesn't always have to be the front elevation. But then get to the front elevation and walk that client through the front door as they would be traveling through the house if they were walking through it. So your first picture does not have to be your front elevation picture. It can be a beautiful feature of the home. But then build in that front elevation and walk the client through the home if you don't have video, walkthrough, or floor plan. Help create continuity in the client's head. Set the right schedule for your listing. Remember what your seller's requirements were for showings. Any travel, make sure that's clear and apparent on MLS. It's going to save you time answering questions, and it will reflect on your professionalism to have documentation and notice and showing instructions clearly printed. Again, proper signage. I'm going to jump ahead. Proper signage is crucial to getting clients that might not otherwise see your home. And this is why. What is the right schedule for listings in your market? Do certain homes have broker tours for agents on particular days? Are NFL games not a good day to do an open house? I'm sorry, I'm skipping around. Proper signage includes this. 1, a yard sign. A yard sign that visibly has your brand and your phone number. You want people that drive by to call you. Your brand and your phone number. And Keller Williams brand and Oregon required marketing rules on that sign. You want writers for special features. If the home has a pool, get a writer that says that home has a pool. If that home has a 4th bedroom, get a writer that says that home has a 4th bedroom. If that home actually can fit a true RV or coach in the RV parking, put that. If it's just boat parking, put that. Right? There's some people that have RV parking, and if you try to park an RV in there, you can't because there's a gas meter in the way. it's toy parking, right? So you might want to clarify, because when I drive by and I see that fence, I'm gonna think it's RV parking, but when I open that fence, I'm gonna realize an RV will not fit there. So add the special features on a rider. Directionals. Lots and lots of directionals. A lot of people will drive out of their way on their way home to look at a home in their neighborhood simply by a directional catching their eye. You want the directional to start at the most populated intersection and work its way back to your home through the easiest route. 4-way intersection with a light if you're in town. If you're in a rural area, you're going to want to go to highway separations or where things come to a fork in a road and move them through from that. You want your directionals to be a visual GPS from the main arterial road to your listing. As always, Keller Williams provides technology to help you market your listings and brand in the most effective way. Command includes designs, and we are super excited to roll out Designs plus Canva coming soon. We have a group of agents who are beta testing that right now, that platform right now, so that we can debunk any bugs before it comes out to our agents. But it is work in progress. We expect to have that at the end of August, completely rolled out to our agents. You can create flyers and postcards and social media posts all through Designs right now if you don't have Canva. And if you have Canva, there's some beautiful things in there that you can template and brand with your own branding. That is it, my friends. Thank you for sticking around for the extra few minutes with me. We talked about success through co-agents already. I'm just going to reiterate to you that communication is key. Showing up as a professional is key. Think of how you would like other agents to come to you and treat you. Do your due diligence before you have to go to another agent, and ask clarifying questions, right? I've looked at the MLS, I've seen this, I know this. Clarifying question, and then ask your question. These are things that are going to show up and make you a strong professional. All right, guys, I'll make sure you get the handout, the packet. My information, I'm going to send it to Mara, and I'm just going to have Mara forward it on to everybody. Thank you so much for spending the afternoon with me. This was a long class, and I hope you got some stuff out of it.
Thanks, Carrie.
Bye, guys.
Bye, thank you. Oops, I didn't leave.